acquisitions. I have need for you on the master's sail barge, and I think you'll fill in nicely.
Hello, Geeker things. Wade here, and today we are going to be talking about Jawa's sail barge. Boy, I tell you, I seriously cannot get enough of it. It is simply gorgeous. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about the action figures that you need to populate the sail barge. Come on, let's be real here. What good is an empty sail barge? You need to fill this thing up with as much scum and villainy as you can get. Sorry, Mos Eisley, but I think Jawa and his gang seriously takes the cake. To get us started, I made a checklist with all the important Jawa's Palace or Jawa's Sail Barge characters that is needed to populate your barge. I primarily based the two lists from Jedi Temple Archives website, where they have an entire article dedicated to the figures to populate your sail barge. And then, as per usual, I like to throw in my 2 cents. So here are some of my recommendations. You guys can be able to find this list on Instagram, or you can find it in a PDF in the link below. We've been finding these action figures by toy hunts, shopping online, collectors through Instagram, and we still have a lot more to collect. But it has been a super fun journey that will be so memorable for years to come. One thing I want to point out is that Jawa's sail barge kind of made Power of the Force cool again. Now, not the entire line, but definitely the Return of the Jedi characters. These characters are honestly must-haves for your sail barge. Hasbro hasn't made any modern counterparts for these, but don't let the logo and the card back fool you. These are some excellent figures. Each of these figures in the checklists are their most definitive versions. Now, of course, you can be flexible and choose which characters that you like, or which certain action figures from certain lines you want. It's up to you. You can even deck this entire barge out with Power of the Force characters if you really wanted to, but ultimately, the checklists just serve as a guide to give you good ideas and suggestions. I'll also be talking about the prices of these figures in the markets of today, whether online or in comic shops, and I'll give you an average price of what each of these figures are going for to help you fellow Star Wars fans out. Now, me and Ed don't have all of the figures in the checklist, but as time goes on and we get more, we will keep updating you guys with a new batch of figures. Starting off with the oldest figure in the list, we have EV-99. This is actually a pretty good figure with some great detail. Just like the original Power of the Force figure, it has articulation in the mouth, and it has a computer data pad for her to use. This is a pretty cheap figure to get, hanging around $5 or so, but she is definitely worthy to add into your barge, as she features nice paint applications and details. The next figure is definitely a fan favorite that fans really want a super articulated version of, and that is 8D8. This is that creepy looking torture droid that honestly looks like a Terminator, but for some reason he resonates well with fans. This one has some pretty dang cool accessories, making him worth about $12. I actually think it's possible that Hasbro could make a new version of 8D8 for the vintage collection, and oh man, that would be so cool to see. Until that day happens, this is the best substitute possible. Ishi Tib. Now, just to clarify, that's the species, not the actual character's name, but oddly enough, this is not one of the Jawa's Palace denizens, but this is in fact a rebel. I kid you not. But this is the only Ishi Tib species character that we have, so he kind of already fits the job description, but he works out perfectly. He'll fit right in your sail barge. This figure is worth about $15. This absolute unit of a guy is Pote Snitkin, and you can see him driving the skiff speeder, and he's a pretty cool looking figure actually. I like him. He's a hefty, solid looking alien, and this one is pretty desirable. He ranges about $10 to even $20, and hey, that's pretty good for a Power of the Force figure. The next one is what old school fans like to call Squidhead, and rightly so, because that's exactly what he is. This is Tessic. This is the closest modern counterpart that we have, and this is one fantastic figure. The sculpt and everything even rivals to some figures of today. Even though Tessic is a Power of the Jedi figure, like most Power of the Force figures, he bounces around a lot in price. Typically, I see him go for $15 to $20, but the highest one I've seen him go is over $30. And that's happened here and there, so he's probably our highest 90s figure in this list so far. That's pretty impressive if you think about it. Okay, moving past the 90s and entering 2005, we have the Saga Collection, and in number 2 in the line, we have Han Solo. And this is a pretty decent figure, but it is sadly kinda dated. He has no articulation below the legs, and he has swivel elbows, but he's still not a bad piece. It's his carbonite piece that people want. With the translucent red like that, that's pretty cool. But it's not enough to save this figure, and that puts its value at about $5 right there. The better Han Solo to get would probably be the Black Series 3.75-inch Phase 2 one, or you could wait until the Vintage Collection one comes out in the Jabba's Palace playset. This next one is actually kind of a favorite of mine. This one is Barada, and though he is an older figure with an older sculpt, Hasbro did a really nice job with repainting this. What I like about this is it matches the actual on-screen character of Barada. The original figure kind of looks like him, but he's got different clothes. But this one is pretty accurate, and you don't have to worry about spending $70 to $80 on this figure. He's only $5. Moving on a year later into the year 2006, we have the Saga Collection, but in special vintage packaging, and we are looking at Greedo. Now, of course, we all know Greedo died in the cantina, but there is another Rodian that looks exactly like him, except he has a different vest, and I want to say his name is Beto. Maybe he's Greedo's brother. Greedo? Beto? Who knows? But this is the closest that you'll get to matching that character, and either way, this is still a fantastic figure, and this is the best Greedo that you can possibly buy in the market. Much like most figures in the Saga Collection, you can get this guy pretty cheap for around $12 to $20. Step forward a year later with the 30th Anniversary Collection, and Hasbro brought us CZ4. This is a really good figure. He's got some pretty impressive dirt wash over him, some great paint applications and printing, and this is exactly what the on-screen character looks like. You can pick up CZ4 pretty cheap at a modest $13. Now we're jumping a year later to the year 2008, and this time Hasbro gave us a Max Rebo band member. This character is Akrev, and he is pretty interesting. He has a lot of colors to him. Not the greatest articulation, but look-wise, he's really good. What's also cool is he has a gigantic drum right behind him, and what's interesting about this figure is lately he's been going up in price, hanging around $30 to even $40. That's pretty impressive for a background character such as him. And this next one is oddly enough Ed's favorite figure out of all of them so far, and that one is Yarna Dal Gargan, and you can see the look on his face. He's pretty happy that he found her. Back in 2008, this thing was a huge peg warmer. You could find her just about anywhere, but because of the sale barge, you can pick her up for about $20. So that's a fairly decent price. This next character is pretty unique because I believe he's from a deleted scene, but he's still a great addition to add to Jabba's troops. This guy is Bane Malar, and he is one cool looking dude. He's got a really dark navy blue outfit and a really cool fishbowl looking helmet. I like this guy a lot, and he is just great to add to either a skiff speeder or inside the barge. I would say you definitely need this guy because he's just so cool looking. Bane Malar goes for about $15, but if you get a first day of issue like this one, he goes for double at about $30. They're both pretty much the same figure, so go with the cheaper standard release one. Now we're headed off to the year 2010 where Hasbro gave us the beautiful vintage collection, and let's go to the man who started it all, Dengar. Yes, Dengar is in fact a part of Jabba's palace, and he was a part of the sail barge. In the original Legends, there was a story where he survived the explosion of the sail barge, and he actually actually saved Boba Fett from the Sarlacc. That's a pretty cool story, but now it's not really canon. This figure is the best Dengar that you can buy. I still prefer this one over the Black Series Dengar. This looks just like Murray Bush, the guy that played Dengar. It is a phenomenal figure, one of the best that you will find. Back in the day, Dengar started out as a peg warmer, and you could find him pretty easily. Nowadays, you're lucky if you can get him under 35 bucks. Starting price is typically at $35, and he can even jump to 60 depending on the condition. Dengar is really sought after. I really cannot stress enough how amazing this Dengar is. If you have the chance to get him, go for it. You will not be disappointed. Next, we have Bom Vimden. Yes, he is a Cantina patron, but come on, he is such a cool looking alien. And he has a glass of blue milk, so I say he's a great candidate to add to the barge. Bom Vimden is pretty cheap. You can get him for about $10 to $20. Either way, he's still a fantastic action figure that you could add to your Cantina or your sail barge. Or, if you're a true Star Wars fan, you can add him to your holiday special collection. Next up, we have Lando Calrissian in his Sandstorm outfit. This is from a Blu-ray deleted scene, but he pretty much serves the same principle as the skiff Lando. He still has the helmet, the vibro axe, except what's cooler about him is he has a lot more accessories. This Lando is still a pretty good figure, but if you want to, you can wait until the Walmart Lando comes out, if it'll come out. Either way, it's your choice. Once upon a time, he went for $80 on eBay. Now he's kind of less in demand and kind of goes $40 to $50. That's still a pretty high price for an action figure. Fast forward a few years later into the year 2014, and we have the Black Series Jawas. These are the Jawas that Hasbro uses on the box art of the barge, and these are some pretty stellar Jawas. I like the contrasting colors that they have. I like that they're both different sizes. These guys are pretty easy to get. You can get them for about $15, which is still a really fair price. So that will conclude this first batch of Sail Barge action figures. Be sure to stay tuned for more, as the next one we will be looking at all of the loose figures that we have. As I've said before, this isn't all of them, so we still have a few more to collect. Also, let us know down in the comments below, what is your favorite Sail Barge alien? I know mine is probably either Yakface or Ree-Yeez. That'll conclude this episode of Geeker Things. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to leave a like, and if you're new, be sure to subscribe, as we will be posting more Star Wars content. And as always, stay tuned for more Geeker Things.